Hi, Steve Edwards here, CEO of Premier Virtual. So excited to have you joining our webinar about recruitment, marketing, and engagement. We have some amazing guests today, panelists that are going to be here. I'm going to introduce them in a second. You know, a lot of people talk right now about the battle, right? What is the battle? It's the battle of the great resignation versus the great return, right? As companies are bringing people back in to the office, more people are quitting, right? Who's going to win that battle? Today, we're going to help you to try to show you how you can engage with your candidates, how you can market them as well. You know, people ask me all the time, Steve, how do I host a successful virtual event? You know, and I tell them the number one thing is to have the right platform. And no, I'm not just saying that because I have my own virtual platform. Even trade shows sometimes I go to, right? It's not my platform, but some of the platforms are really good. But you got to have the right platform or the right venue for your audience, and you have to make sure it's there. The second thing is, you know, setting up the marketing or the setup of the event, right? How do you set up the event? From a trade show, do you set up the right where the exhibitors are and the people that are attending it, they have to go through the exhibitors to get to lunch, to get to everything? Or do you make it so they don't have to go, right? And a virtual, can you set it up to get to that right organization, can talk to that right attendee? I don't care if it's a job fair or trade show or whatever, is setting up the right aspect. The last thing is reminders, okay? You've got to have the reminders out there as well, right? Build it. But the number one and most important thing besides the setup, besides the event platform, is marketing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So instead of having, me talk about it and introducing them, first, I want to introduce the career engineer, Francina. Can you tell us who you are, what you do, and why you're here today?
Absolutely. Again, my name, I'm nationally known, actually internationally known as the engineer, but my human name is Francina Harris. And our motto is don't get anxious, get prepared. And today I'm going to talk, from the employee side as well as the employer side, what folks need to do to really get the best return on investment on what they're doing in terms of marketing and getting their brand out there and getting noticed. You've got to be visible to get noticed. So I'm going to be some insights on that.
All right, perfect. And I know we're getting a little bit of feedback. We're trying to fix that right now here. We'll have that fixed. Todd, who are you, what you do, and, tell us about your great organization.
Absolutely, Steve. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Really happy to be here today as well. So my company is Talent Inc. We are the premier tech-enabled career service for job seekers and applicants. Really working with job seekers, applicants to better prepare themselves for interviews, prepare their resume documents, their LinkedIn makeover, a LinkedIn profile. We've partnered, of course, Steve, with Premier Virtual so that when folks are setting up their events, they can opt in to have our services available to their attendees. And we offer a free resume review. So when when folks are registering for these events, they'll have better preparation and documentation for those events. So we're excited to be here. We're excited to partner with you as well. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Todd. And definitely last but not least, John Garcia, tell us about you. John, you're on mute.
All right, yeah, John Garcia. I'm the marketing director for Premier Virtual, and a big part of my job is sitting with our clients because, we're employers too. We know how difficult it is to find the right candidate. And so we want to make your events as successful as possible. Sit down with us. We do free marketing strategy sessions to drive as many qualified candidates. We also work with partners like the ones here on the panel today and more. So we have a lot of resources available to our clients. And it's a big part of what we do. We just want your events to be successful.
All right, thank you to all of our panelists today. Now let's just jump in with the first question.
You're crushing it. If you're an employer and you have some solid bases in engagement, environment, and you've competitively looked at your earnings be even beyond the dollar, and you're sharing that from beginning until that person's in that seat and even after the seat, that's a better way for you to get and keep great talent. So that's what they're looking for. And the employers are really up again. There's 11, at the time of our conversation, there's 11 million job openings. Right now, there's 2 job openings for every one person that wants to work. According to the JOLT report, the last JOLT report, the new one comes out next month, but 4.5 million folks quit. That's a lot of folks. Okay, that's a lot of folks. So you are up against that data, but by bringing the big 3 E's into your engagement, your networking, however you tap into talent, you will put yourself in a better position to hire and keep the right talent.
Great advice there. And I think we see that a lot, right? Like talking about the amount of people that are quitting. I say it, right? I joked with my team, right? I love the remote aspect of it, right? But I joked with my team and I said, I want you to come back to the office. Yeah. And I had people say, I'll leave. Even though we built an amazing culture, right? We had it. People are seeing, right? They want more things out there, right? I mean, let's look at people. Todd, I hope I don't offend you on this. I think you live in the Northeast, right? People live up in the cold Northeast, right? Now they can move down here to sunny South Florida, but still work for that job. Yeah. There's different things that they want to be able to have out there. So, we're gonna kind of switch roles just for a little bit before we kind of get into Todd and kind of how his services really work to prepare your candidates, right, out there too. John, we have a lot of clients that come to us and say, we need help. We want help. How can we drive candidates to our virtual hiring events, our virtual recruitment suite? How can we get them there on a daily basis, right? Without just job boards. We know job boards are out there. We know there's some that, are very large, right? I was on a call yesterday and, I won't say, but everybody can probably figure they used the largest job board out there because they had to. Yeah. Even though they're like, we love your software much better, right? So I said, hey, that's great, right? Instead of paying them a ton of money for the software, use us, still advertise, right? Just pay the small parts of the job posting, and you're not going to pay those high fees, right? And that's kind of what John is going to talk about here is really on some of that on the recruitment marketing side of things. Is what you can do as an organization to not break the bank, right? To be able to drive those candidates. So, John, if you want to go over a couple of quick things that you went into real quick.
Yeah, I think I'll just lead with the build it and they will not come, right? It's not build it and they will come anymore. I mean, it really, people, often think they're going to have this great virtual event. They have this great companies and great jobs, and then everyone will come. But Francina just mentioned the openings are 2 to 1. And if you drill down to certain industries, right, and certain specific applications that you need, it's probably 5 to 1, right, or 10 to 1 openings for available applicants. So it's very competitive. And if you're going to put on this event, you really need to market it. You just can't post it and expect it to happen. So, with that, we often talk about free tools like Facebook and Eventbrite and LinkedIn. And what people often don't do is create an event page. You may promote the event as a post and you may share it, but each one of those lets you create an event page. And event pages are great ways to invite people then to the event and then obviously share that event. So beyond just posting about the event, each one of those should have an event page. It's free. And then on that page, you would create a link, right, to the registration page. So that's a free tool. Obviously, the bigger your network is, your social media network, the better. Another free tool is anyone who's attending your event. I mean, you can even ask job seekers to share it as well, but definitely all of the companies that are part of it, they should have a hashtag. They should be able to share the event. You as the host should on a daily basis, hey, this employer came on board, post it. This new job is available, talk about the openings that are available. Because when people just go to the registration page, they may not see all of that information, right? The registration page for the event is a small paragraph or two, and you can make it longer and there's videos. But really the job seeker that goes there, you kind of want to pre-qualify them anyway, right? You want to get the right people to that page. So you do that by building these, these pages. Look at us on Eventbrite. We put these webinars. We get 100 to 400 people register. You get a following. People start kind of, knowing and expecting that you're going to do certain things. So, I mean, those are 2 great ones. And then obviously we also help all of our clients with press releases. You could do national press releases, you could do local press releases, and you should have a relationship with your local media. Newspapers are not dead. Radio stations and TV still have the mouthpiece. What I would do is definitely call them, you send your press release. And if you have an event where you're the host, why not invite the press? They're hiring as well. Give them a free booth. right? Just some goodwill, right? Give them a free booth. Maybe they talk about the event. If you get on the news a couple of times, it'll definitely change, obviously the number of applicants that are coming to your event. So those are
John, I want to touch base on something that you said here, right? Really on two things out there. One, the Eventbrite page, right? You are creating an event, right? With here, right? Let's say you use a Premier Virtual or really any virtual platform out there, anything. You have a landing page on there, which is great. But Eventbrite has such a big following out there. If you put the right tags in there and you put the right things, it's, hey, we're having a hiring event today. We're having a hiring event, right? That's going to be for, multiple companies, whatever it is. Use what's free out there as well, right? John touched base on the news stations, right? Press releases. I came from a world as I used to put on job fairs for 9 years, in-person job fairs. Every city I went to, the day before the event, I would always send a message to every reporter. I'd go on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'd send them messages. I'd go, right? I had all of it set. Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS, all the affiliates in every city I went to. And I had their things. So you could go and you could put stuff on their calendars. Again, free, right? Doesn't matter if it's a single person hiring event, whatever it is, hey, we're having a hiring event. If you are a small company and you're like, hey, Steve, I'm just looking to hire a couple people, guess what? Have a hiring day, right? Go out and say, I'm having a hiring day, put it on all the news stations, put it on all of the calendars out there. That's free, okay? Now I'm going to say something, and some of you may not like the person I'm going to talk about right here, but this guy is crazy in my mind, and he's done a great thing. Grant Cardone, okay? If you listen to Grant Cardone, you either love or hate this guy, right? Because he's nuts, but he's built an empire of what he's done. And he talks about messages on social media. And John just touched on this, right? If you send out one message on Facebook, how many people are going to see it, right? But he says, I'm going to send out multiple messages an hour. Originally people told him, listen, people are going to get offended. But what he did is the more he started posting on social media, the less people deleted him and the more following he got. So he started doing more and more and more and more. So I don't care if you're a small company or whatever you are, social media posts can be there, right? Maybe at 10 o'clock, you're doing these hashtags. At 1 o'clock, you're doing some other hashtags. You have to be out there and in front of the people, right? You have to be going out there and in marketing.
Yeah.
I guarantee, right, if everybody asks right here, the job boards, are they 100% working for you? You can answer that.
Let me ask that in the chat.
Do you get every one of your candidates just on a job board? And you have to think, what else are you doing out there? Now, I'm going to flip it here. Todd, I'm going to give you I'm going to throw it to you because I'm so excited about, what you guys do and how you do it, right? And it's there. To those organizations that are out here, and I don't care if you're a workforce development board, a college, and a lot of you may say, well, we do what Todd does, right? But we have a lot of workforce boards, schools that still use the same kind of things that Todd does, but on our platform, they can still do it, right? Again, it's kind of that third party. So Todd, can you talk a little bit, the floor is yours here, kind of talk about your value add, because this to me is one of the most value added things an organization can have for, right, doing an event, even sometimes an individual company. And I've said this for years about ATSs, right? And this is kind of me talking, and you don't like it, I'm sorry. But a lot of times ATSs, sometimes they'll kick people out, right? There was a study done, and I don't remember, John, you may remember this number. How many people were a perfect fit for a company, but because the ATS kicked them out because of a certain word wasn't there or was there or something, right? All this talent was there. So this is where, to me, an organization like Todd and Talent Inc. is so important out there. So Todd, floor is yours.
Absolutely, Steve. Thank you. No, look, I really appreciate that. And again, appreciate the introduction to what we do. And really kudos to you, to Jamie, to the rest of your team who really had the foresight to really think about this and what job seekers are doing and what they need, the tools that they need to really be successful. So, Talent Inc., I mean, we've been now in the resume writing business for the last 15 years. Top Resume has been a brand for now over a decade. I myself have been in this, in this industry for about 20 years. So, job seekers need a lot of help. I mean, and their documentation is critical, and certainly with the ATSs. And I mean, I think you're spot on. People are not getting looked at because they may be missing keywords. They may be missing a format or a style that's not really being picked up appropriately by those ATSs. And so what we do with our complimentary resume review is we actually simulate what the ATS is seeing based on that resume document. So our complimentary review is that experience. And then we take that information, we parse it, we run it through our software, similar to what the ATS is doing. And then we provide that feedback directly to the employee, to the seeker, right, to the candidate, so that they could then, if they wanted to, if they chose to do this, make those updates or corrections to their document. We give them that information, or they could, if they wanted to, work with one of our writers who are skilled at this every single day. So what we do is we focus on this every single day. This is what we do. This is our lifeblood. This is what we live for. And we work with hundreds of thousands of applicants around the world to help our software learn, get better, our writers improve and get better all the time. So Steve, I can share my screen if you'd like, and I can kind of walk through. Or do you want to, or you tell me?
No, absolutely. If you got a couple
Okay.
screens you want to share, I'd love that, right? Because I think, again, it's a lot of people don't see this, maybe see the value because they don't understand it, right? Like, how many people think, oh, it's a resume review. Oh, what are they going to do for me, right? It took me a long time, right? Let's just say 6 months ago, right? I saw that same word and there's no value to it. Right. But as we are, now, kind of in the partnership and how it's theirs, I see the value so much more. Right. And I think people seeing is believing. And I think they can see. Now, we know this may not be for everybody that's on the call. And we'll get back to other things, too. But I think that there's still some value to see what else is out there, because not everybody knows about that. So, Todd, yeah, you can share your screen.
Appreciate that. I will do that now. Give me okay. So let me, I want to get to the, 1 second. There we go. Ooh. Okay. My screen is up. Okay. So again, thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. As I mentioned a moment ago, we have a number of different brands as part of our Talent Inc. suite of services. We are at its core a tech-enabled career service provider. Top Resume is our brand that we have partnered with Premier Virtual. We also offer other branded career services that are unique to what we do, but I'm going to share with you today the Top Resume experience. So as I mentioned, we've been around for about a decade now. We've been working with a number of different partners throughout that time. We partner with job sites, we partner with software providers, we've obviously partnered with Premier Virtual, so that when somebody is registering for an event, if this is opted in by the event provider, they can then get one of our services. So let me just share you by the numbers, as I mentioned, Steve. We've been working with job seekers from around the world for a better part of the last decade. So we have partners, job site partners, software partners. We've reviewed over 20 million resumes over this time. We work in 2 different languages, English and German. We also write LinkedIn makeovers for folks. And so, it's not just the resume document that employers and recruiters are looking at, it's also LinkedIn profiles as well. So what do we offer? As I mentioned, it really starts with our free resume review. That is a primarily software-driven review with some component of human element to it. We have quality control folks who review documentation as well. But what we're really doing here with our free review is that simulation of what the ATS is doing and looking at and how it's looking at your resume documents. And we're providing that feedback directly to the end users so that they can make those updates and changes as needed or necessary. And then from there, if somebody wanted to then work with one of our writers, they could choose that as an option. Yes, that is a seeker would be paying for that service. They would be then working one-on-one directly with one of our professional writers who are skilled at this service. So, we've had a lot of success with this, and we strive for ultimate customer support and service around that. So what have we done with Premier Virtual? We've made this available on any event that the event creator is opting in to make this available for that particular event. And this is what it looks like. So you would then opt in to have it enabled on your registration. The seeker, the registrant would then have the opportunity to opt in for the free resume review. The opportunity is to then improve those documents prior to that event so that they can put their best foot forward. The review is going to be returned to them within 6 hours of us receiving that request. And then when they register, this is what it would look like. So they're registering, they're uploading some information to get to that, for that particular event. And it's a very clear opt-in to get this free resume review.
And I hope that guy on there doesn't have to send his resume out to anybody.
Exactly. As I mentioned, we have a number of partners out there around the world. This is one of our partners for a long time, Expertier, who we've been working with for many years. Just a couple of other testimonials about us. And Steve, that was really my presentation. I just want to make sure to share a couple of screenshots of what that looked like from the integration that we've been working with you on.
Perfect, Todd. I appreciate that. Like I said, a lot of people may not have seen, right, the value in how that works. But I think, you touched on something that I think a lot of people may look at, but don't take it as serious as they should. LinkedIn, right? Is your LinkedIn profile is just as important, if not more important, than your resume. What you like, what you post, what you put on your LinkedIn. I mean, it's very easy, right? So you can look on and see somebody's, what they like, what they comment on and stuff like that. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole thing about looking at somebody's social media as you're recruiting them. We've had that before, right? That could be that's a really fun conversation to me to have, because I like to stir the pot a little bit, but we won't get into that here. But having your LinkedIn profile set up is key. So that's, Todd, thank you for sharing that out there as well. That's there. So, Francine, kind of back to you on something is when you're thinking, about, let's say, a job fair, what do you tell, right, the hosts with, the participants, right, the companies? How would you coach them on what they should do the day of the event?
Well, the day of the event definitely is important, but the before and the after is important as well. So, and it's, it's kind of like what I said earlier. I mean, what folks are looking for, I mean, we want to get those, you want to capture the talent and get the knowledge, skills, and ability, but I do need employers to be human again. And the more you're organic, folks can tell just like you can tell a cut and paste resume, right? If you're an HR person looking, well, employees can tell a cut and paste employer. Okay. So the more you're organic, I mean, I'm talking from the very beginning, whoever writes your job descriptions, right? I mean, I hope your culture is represented in there. I hope you're sharing the other than the money, why someone should work for you. I hope, yes, your website and your, guess what? Company LinkedIn page is consistent in sharing this type of message. But the day of the event, I mean, relationships matter. The big E word, engagement matter. I have a term that I call, I think every employer, and again, all my E's, employee, entrepreneur, employer, but high tech and high touch. You got to do both. Using the services that you all provide is definitely a high tech way to still have a human touch, right? We're doing a virtual event, but people are still doing people to people connectivity. as much as I am a little techie addict and I'm a little social media person too, I love, playing in this space. Don't neglect the power of person-to-person engagement, relationship building. You've got to do that the day of and the day before and the day after. So when a potential talent sees the real you, I mean, so a lot of people use this term, my authentic self, right? We want the employee to have the authentic self. Well, we need the employer to have the authentic self too. And they can read between the lines. And as they're having maybe the 15-minute virtual meeting with you at the job fair, like what Premier does here, they can really capture your essence and the genesis of who you are and what you're doing as a company. And even your representatives, I hope, buy into your vision and are able through, osmosis to kind of make sure it's coming through to them too. So I'm telling you that 15-minute engagement or the half-hour engagement, the day of, content is important, but so is it, substance matter and style, but they need to really know who you are and what you bring as an employer, small, medium, or large. It really makes the difference. When we've, coached, again, we talk to employers and I talk to employees as well, because I do, coaching and stuff, but it's this real organic thing. Like I said, getting a job right now, pretty easy. I mean, unless you have that you're a serial killer or something on your resumes and just got something that's making people like, I don't want to work for that guy. But again, it's also you're going to invest in these folks, right? So you want them to stick around, not do the 90-day, I'm out for the next $5 or more an hour, or because someone else has remote, if you're an employer at a career fair and you're sharing, every job can't be remote. I mean, every job can't be that, but maybe you still have a hybrid environment some kind of how. I mean, maybe you don't have to work every Friday, maybe every other Friday. I mean, you got to find ways to again, that goes to that environment and the engagement. So if you have a hybrid type of platform somehow, again, high tech and low tech, online and offline, share that, because people have learned during the pandemic that, family is important. What I do after work is important. Taking care of grandma or my kid is important, and so you have to have a way the day of, again, I think I call this thing, I say, people want meaningful, maintainable, and sustainable work. So the day of, in addition to all these great job leads and stuff you have, are they, meaningful, maintainable, and sustainable work? Because that is also what folks are looking for.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on that. So I love what you said about be authentic, right? It's there, right? Yeah. I'll tell a funny story, right? Real quick. I love these stories, right? So I was at a conference last week and met some people, and, I met a team from Iowa, right? I'm from small town, Wisconsin, and we get into talking about food, right? And the one girl was like, well, have you had corn from Iowa? Right? It was just an authentic conversation, right? And I really think sometimes you can build, we actually talked about, right? There's differences between conversations and connections that are out there, right? And I think, right, as I talk about, right, connections versus conversations, job fairs are just like that, right? And I talked about, right, one of the first things that I said about, right, setting up an event is, or making a successful event is setting up that event, right? And I'm not just talking about for the host, I'm talking about for the employers as well. So I'm going to touch base on, kind of a little bit about what you said there is, the stuff that you put into your virtual hiring room or your virtual recruitment suite, that's important. It's not, I love the website, right? I love About Us in the news. To me, that shows the culture of my company, right? It shows something. But what people can do is maybe make a little video and say, here's who I am. I'm a recruiter, I'm a manager, I'm this, and I am going to, I would love to show you more about this company. A personal video at that event, right? So that's one thing as you're setting up your hiring room. But as people come in, engagement, right? You said that, right? Engagement. The second somebody comes into your room, engage with them. Hi, my name is Steve. Yeah. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for stopping by. The engagement, right? But then you come back in, right? And you're just authentic about it, right? What I don't like is when somebody says, right? Somebody says, hi, my name is Steve. I'm stopping by your booth. Let me, find out what jobs you have, right? So I see, right? There's a candidate that just logged in and asked a question, right? So I'm going to kind of turn on this. If I'm a job seeker and I go in to an event and I just say, I go over and I immediately chat and it says, tell me what jobs you have. As a recruiter, I'm like, there's a job tab right here. You could have pressed on and see this, right? That's a generic question. That is not being authentic from a candidate standpoint of view, right? The candidates have to be authentic as well. They have to fill out their profile. So you're putting your best foot forward, right? And give that person the time, right? You know, again, I'm going to go back to my Grant Cardone. You know, he talks about give the people your time, right? You know, I had people one time go, well, Steve, I want to be able to be on video and chat with multiple people at one time. Hey, that's great. You can do it on my platform, right? As a recruiter, I could be talking to 10 candidates. As a candidate, I could be talking to 10 recruiters. But is that your best use of time? Are you being authentic? Are you being 100% all in?
That's right.
And you have to be able to do that. You know, one thing, and John, I want to, you know, really kind of talk to you, have you talk about this is, right, the employers, right? This is one of the things you want to talk about. You know, just because you're an employer at a job fair doesn't mean you can't promote that job fair, right? If a host has a job fair, John, you want to talk about what can that employer or what can you talk about it in two ways, right? What can that employer do, but what should the host tell those employers to do as well so that it helps promote the event out there?
Yeah, that's a great point. A lot of times we see only the hosts promoting the event and the employers just kind of thinking that it's all going to come together. Definitely not the best practice. I mean, if you're part of an event and you're the employer, it's the strength is in the numbers. You can't think of it as a scarcity mentality. If every employer is promoting, you're going to multiply the number of applicants, you know, and yes, you may have similar jobs in a job fair. And that's to Francina's point and Todd's point, that's where your culture is going to stand out. That's where, you know, you have to show that there's a difference between working at company A and company B. But, you know, promoting the event and also, you know, definitely, I don't see people putting enough about remote jobs. Now, not all jobs can be remote. But Goodwill, you know, I just had a great testimonial video with them. Goodwill, right? Industries, they're everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. It's a store. The lady I spoke to was the virtual hiring manager. Like her title was virtual hiring manager. And that's the first time I've seen that. Mm-hmm. And I was blown away because to me, it's like makes so much common sense. Yet this is the first employer, right, that has put that. And if there's other ones on this call that have that, kudos to you, because you need to be flexible to what we've been saying here, what the job seeker is looking for. So if you have remote jobs, definitely put it on there, because yes, you're going to attract the remote candidate, but then they may see an opportunity that they weren't aware of, that they didn't know about. And all of a sudden they were looking remote, but in person may work, you know, for them in that situation. So, you definitely have to promote the jobs, promote the benefits, promote the event. Like you would. And then one thing that I'd love to say here is the virtual hiring room is open 24/7. You know, our platform is not just an event platform, it's a recruitment platform. So you can tell candidates, hey, come and meet the team, right? Come and talk to me before the event, after the event. We're going to have it open from 12 to 1 on Wednesdays. If you're the employer yourself and your event is Friday, you could say, you know, after the event, you know, we're going to be open every day, Monday, you know, come during your lunch hour. And so, because when people want to really work for you, and especially I think higher level positions, they really want to get to know you. And if all they have is that information on your website about us, contact us, and in the news, it's not good enough. Why not just meet them? Put the link on your website. Hey, meet us in the virtual hiring room, 12 to 1. I really think that's being underutilized, and it's a huge benefit to the virtual platform.
Yeah, you know, good point on there is you're looking to recruit candidates, right? We just saw Salesforce just put out, you know, an article that said they're no more recruiting by cities. They're recruiting by time zones.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Because they don't care where you work. Right? Those organizations are seeing, right? So I look at almost like you know, Todd's, right? The people that go through Todd's and they have a beautiful resume now, they can work anywhere.
Yeah.
They can choose that. So Todd, do you see, and this may be off topic, which that's what these are for, but what do you see, or do you guys, and maybe you guys don't do this, But do you see a lot of your candidates that are coming from one area looking for jobs in other areas, more remote work? Are they putting that on their resume? Kind of what are they doing with that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And there's no question that people are certainly looking for more remote work. The idea that you're hiring and looking now based on time zone versus where you live, I think is amazing. I mean, we as a company have employees all over the world. We have partners and clients all over the world. So there's no question that we are seeing more of that, more remote work. And people, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter where you live and where you work today, from where you live and what city you're going to go work for. So no, we are seeing a lot of that shift for sure happening. Francine, I love what you were saying, and really what resonated with me was really, it's really having a soul. I mean, companies really need to show what their soul is. We expect that from applicants. We expect that in our interviews. The interviewee expects that as well. I mean, really, yeah, it's time for really organizations to show their soul, who they really are. And I think that that's critical. And we expect that from everybody that we engage with, and it's making those connections. So I love what you were saying. That really resonated with me.
Thank you. But yeah, it's how interesting that this is the aha moment now for a company to be authentic and share who they really are and what they bring and other to the table other than money. The money is the easy part. I know folks, that's the hard part. It's easy to give someone some extra money. It's hard to invest in them. That's hard. Yeah. All right. So how companies can share that. And one thing I think was definitely want to add when we're talking about LinkedIn is one of my favorite places. I am there. So I live there. I love LinkedIn. However, it's not Facebook and it's not Twitter. It ain't. It's a whole nother place. So remember, I mean, the employers will look at your profile before the resumes. They're doing that, and we have a whopping 8 seconds to wow folks. So please be strategic. So I mean, for the employees listening, be strategic. Everything you've done don't have to be on your LinkedIn, but be strategic and intentional. That's going to bring value to the employer. Everything you've ever done doesn't have to be on LinkedIn, but make sure it's strategic and intentional to bring value, to share your soul, which I love that word, and to share your mission, but even the other fun stuff you do, and to be, again, this whole people to people. We've got, as much as I love tech, like I said, I love technology, I am. But my goodness, we let's not lose the humanness in us. My background, I have an MSW, and it really blows. I'm in the business space all day long, but I have a master's in social work, and I've had people say, "You don't have an MBA?" Well, I said, "Let me tell you something. Are you kidding me? I know how to deal with people. I mean, isn't that the people? It's what people makes profits. It's people. Mm-hmm. Even when we have the robots, it's still gonna be people. So yeah, there's still gonna be people. Steve, come on now.
The funny thing, I'll say it right now. I don't know Todd and I don't know John's, but I can tell you 3 out of the 5 people on here have their degrees in sociology or social work. So again, my degrees in sociology, study of people, right? So again, I always kind of knew that, right? But it's the same thing. When going back and Todd, I want to ask you this, right? Because you guys see this and we're seeing this a lot. So I'm going to kind of throw this to both you, Todd and Francina. We talk about technology, right? We talk about resumes. We talk about there. We're gonna flip to video, like video resumes, video interview questions. Todd, I'll let you take this first, right? Because you have resumes, and I think you guys have something that does something like that. Video resume. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Good, bad, and different. What's your thought?
Yeah, good question. So, I mean, we are certainly traditionalists when it comes to the resume, and having been myself on the other end of the desk, if you will, and as a recruiter, placing people in positions. I was a third part. I was an independent recruiter. The resume document is still the golden goose, if you will. I mean, it's really what recruiters want. I mean, Francine, you added 2 seconds to what we normally say is you have 6 seconds to, make the right impression. I mean, that document is still what recruiters look at, and they need to help them make a quick assessment of somebody's background. And then they go to LinkedIn and they're going to look at their LinkedIn profile. and see, okay, what's different, what matches up, or what am I missing, from the resume document. Videos, there are still a number of people out there that are doing things around video. I think there's a place for it. I mean, we're doing more around interview preparation and interview simulation. We have a service technology called Interview School, which is really allowing somebody to do kind of a mock interview in a simulated environment. So that's not the same, I get it, but we're using technology for that purpose. But as far as the resume goes, we're really traditionalists around that.
Okay.
Maybe one day we'll do more video. I mean, we are building some other tools, but that's our thing.
You don't need to build it. We have one. But I'm going to pause before Francine does it. So I know we have some case managers on here for workforce development boards. That they have 100 people that they manage. What is something, right? And the reason I went this way, Todd, is because you mentioned it, right? Kind of like an interview school and prepping them and getting them ready. What is something, right? And we all know they're trained. Everybody's trained a certain way, right? You work for an organization. Here's how you're trained. What is something from an outside point of view, like what you guys do? What's somebody like that's a case manager that could come in and say, here's how I could help people even more? I know you mentioned the interview school. Is there anything you could touch upon, maybe a little bit more or anything like that? How can you prepare them?
Or is that for me or Francine? Sorry.
It was for you, Todd. Then Francine's going to take it.
You said case manager. I just wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, look, we work with people one-on-one to help prepare them for whether it's an interview or documentation. We have tools that we've provided them. That's really the world that we are in today. We are also building a platform in our business where we are really looking to empower seekers and applicants with more information and data. It's actually, Steve, something that we're building, and I can't divulge the name of this particular business that we're building, but we are building tools to empower seekers and applicants in the same way that employers are empowered to have access to salary information, moving, where the jobs are, salary data, job opportunities, interview preparation. There may be some component of video as part of that as well, but we are trying to stay on the forefront of what candidates need to have more opportunities and better outcomes. So that's where we are as a company.
Perfect. Francine, you want to touch on that at all? Like what can, organizations do to really prepare those, right? If let's just say, I know you may not work with workforce development boards as much as we do, but what is something that they can do, right, from maybe an outside point of view to help prepare their people?
All right. Well, real quick on the video resume, I am not for it. So let me just put that there. But
so we got to stop then.
But I have a blog. I wrote a blog about it. It can happen. It can be a maybe for certain folks. Everybody doesn't video well, and that can really just put you can be just destroyed. But there is a maybe. If you're a front of the house person, you need to have video resumes, but they've done that anyway. But to my workforce people. And again, I remember being a person with 80 and 100 cases trying to get folks working, and back in the day before I became the career engineer. A couple quick things though. I know we're close on time. John will love this word, my famous word I want to say I invent, but I think you all make sure, this is gonna sound crazy, but teach folks how to shivot. All right. They need to know how to get their own shivot on. And shivot to me is shift and pivot, right? Shivot. Folks have to, that's an internal action part. Like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm ready to step out. So we're going to be shiveting forever. That's the byproduct of the big quit or the great resignation. Folks need to make sure you're empowering them to know who they are. Now, yes, this is the social worker in me, but I'm saying it ain't about placements. It's about getting that person to understand who they are, know and embrace who they are, what they bring, and the courage and the confidence to get out there, right? You can't place them places. That doesn't work. You'll get a job, they'll leave the next month when stress shows up. Empower them to know they are powerful, important. And it starts with them. I know we all, even when I'm talking to folks, someone will share with me their brand. Boy, I got all kinds of ideas of where it should go, but that doesn't matter. I got to start where they are. I got to start where they are. When they're part of the vision and the process of their own economic empowerment, it's a whole big game changer. And I know a lot of you are doing that to the best you can every day. Just, I'm saying, empower the individual, inner career move first before outer results. If you do it backwards, you're going to have a whole lot of people. If someone yells at them the wrong way, or somebody breaks up with their boyfriend the night before, they're going to quit their job and we'll be right back in the loop. Let's start from an empowerment mindset, not an entitlement mindset. And that's all I have to say about that.
I love that. I used to tell people, when I'd always ask them, have you played sports? They can either say yes or no, right? Yeah. If they say yes, great. If they say no, I'm saying, okay, well, you understand sports, right? And they're like, yes. 99% of people are going to say yes. Say, listen, in sports, right? When somebody crosses that football line to get on the court, to get on there, anything like there, when they cross that line, their phone's off, right? They're not thinking about everything like that. You have to think of that same thing when you cross that line, when you step into the door, when you log into your computer there, right? There may be drama at home, right? If your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your baby's mama, baby's daddy, whatever it is, there could be that there, right? You have to think that. But how can an organization help that person as well, right? And I love what you kind of said with empowering them and stuff like that, because it's getting them, because the mindset of people isn't always there. So
and engagement matters. Again, I want them, again, everyone's an individual. What you did for Johnny is not going to work for Jane. So that's where the big E word shows up for all of our folks, is helping people to get back in the marketplace. Engage with them, get to know where their strengths are, and power that thing up. So that's it.
Yeah, one thing we just had one of the things, manufacturer jobs fall into a different category. Right. And it's difficult. You have to look at different types of people. Like I've said it before, virtual job fairs aren't for everybody. Some of the back of the house staff at restaurants and hotels, it might not be the right fit. Now, granted, if they have a cell phone, they can log on to one, but it may not be the right fit for everybody. So this comes back to my number one thing, right? When you're setting up your event, right? Having the right platform, the right venue. If you're only looking for certain type of people, maybe virtual's not there, right? Maybe in person is the only way to go, but you got to have that. So it doesn't look like we have a lot of, questions, but John, just, kind of the last thing to you, marketing calls. What do you do, right? When a company comes to us and says, hey, we're interested in, right, how to market events, even though maybe they use our platform, maybe they're like, hey, we're just kind of looking at some things. Tell the organizations out there, what do you do to be able to help with like a marketing strategy call?
Yeah, definitely. We offer complimentary marketing strategy sessions. And first of all, we have access to people like Francina and Todd and other, other great recruitment marketing agencies. So we have a lot of partners. So that definitely puts me in a good position, because it's not one solution fits all. Everyone has a different need. Everyone has a different budget. So the fact that we have all of this network, available to us, you could just tap right into it just by making, having this strategy session with me. So we do a little deep dive, find out what you need. And then there are some realistic expectations. I mean, if you don't have a budget and you have to do everything, grassroots and viral, we're going to set an expectation. Usually 2 to 3 weeks out is where we help people kind of start really marketing if it's an event. And then if there is a budget, how do we maximize that budget? And what is $2,500 literally going to get you? Can we set up a local Google Ads campaign for 2 weeks that will drive 250 people and have a pretty decent return on that investment? So it's a real quantified, qualified, strategy session, so that you know what to expect, because there's nothing worse than turning the event on and you have 10 applicants, right? And it happens. Some of the reasons is if it's a blue collar worker, you may not be able on Facebook to target a blue collar worker, but you could target what they're interested in. Right? They may have interests that about. There may be certain sports, there may be certain just, fields. So there are other creative ways to get in front of people, and also retargeting people that have been to your website, which does not cost a lot. And that they've already shown interest in your website. So definitely, we've done it, successfully many times. Please take us up on it if you have the opportunity to schedule a strategy session. And at the worst case, you just leave with some more information. It's nothing, no obligation to do it with us or through us or anything. It's just another option that you'll have.
Yep. Our goal of Premier Virtual obviously is our number one is we have our virtual recruitment suite and our virtual platform, that organizationally, but if you see, we do these on a monthly basis, and it's not always just about, us and the virtual platform. Sometimes it's best practice. It's for you really, so that you can get the information out there to make your recruiting life easier, right? Because we know, right, it can be a challenge right now because you may recruit 10 people to start and all of a sudden you have 15 people that leave. You're behind. So use the resources that are out there. If anybody has any questions or you want to get in touch with anybody, please shoot me an email, steve@premiervirtual.com. If you want to talk to Todd or you want to talk to Francina, just let us know and we can put you in touch with them to go for all of this. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Todd. Appreciate you taking some time. Thank you, Francina. Always great to see you again. And we'll talk to you all soon. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.